You're back. Hey, we back. Welcome everyone's episode on the Ultimate Sports TV, guys. We all know there's been NFL rumors and news flying around lately about Julio Jones in a trade to another team from the Falcons, guys. Today, all of those rumors really came true when Julio went on Undisputed on a call with Shannon Sharp and said that he is out of there. He does not want to be an Atlanta Falcon anymore, and he wants a trade. And we saw later that some reports that Julio had requested a trade months earlier, guys. We know we got to get into Julio's best fits, and I'm going to tell you his best fits to me from best to worst by a tier list, guys. So here's a tier list of my best to worst teams and fits and destinations for Julio Jones, guys. We got the elite tier, we got the great fit for Julio tier, we got the good to decent tier, we got the okay to iffy tier, and then we got the bad fit for Julio tier, guys. But before I get into this tier list, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the Ultimate Sports TV. Because if you are not subscribed, you're missing out on so much, people. Because this is the hot spot. Get lots and lots of hot from the Ultimate Sports TV spot with NBA and NFL content. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and join the TOS TV squad. Then when you're done with that, please like this video for me, share this video and YouTube channel, then comment down below your best fit for Julio Jones in the comment section below under the pinned comment, guys. But now let's get into this tier list for Julio Jones' best to worst destinations. And here are all his ideal fits. We got the Lions, the Packers, the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Colts, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Patriots, the Saints, the Eagles, and the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to start with the first team on this list, and that's the Lions. To me, I'm going to put them in the bad fit for Julio tier. Now, when Julio was on that phone call with Shannon Sharp, he said, I want to win. If he goes to the Lions, he's not really fulfilling his dream of going to another team to try and win. The Lions don't have a good quarterback, in my opinion. Well, Jared Goff is good. He's just not the quarterback you're going to want to get traded to another team for. And this team's not a good system fit for Julio. And this team is also not going to be good, and they don't have the pieces to be good. So I don't think the Lions are a good fit for Julio. I don't want to see him there. It's not good for him trying to win. He doesn't have the best quarterback situation there because everything around Jared Goff has to really work out. And as far as everything, as accommodations go around Jared Goff, that looks like it's not going to be the case. So I'm going to say this is a bad fit for Julio because it's not a spot where he's really going to win. Now, for the Packers, I think this is an elite fit for Julio Jones. Now, on the Packers side of things, if you want to keep Aaron Rodgers an elite quarterback who was just this past year's MVP, then go out and get Julio, and it'll be good for Aaron Rodgers. But here's why it'll be good for Julio. He'll be able to win. It's a system fit because they run the widespread zone scheme that Julio is used to running in his career. And hey, he'll have Devontae Adams, and as he's getting older, he doesn't have to carry a load in the receiving course. So going with Devontae Adams would help. He would go to a winning team with a good coach, a good offense, a good quarterback if Aaron Rodgers were to stay, if they were to get Julio. So I think this is a great fit for Julio, especially knowing, hey, he could win there. He's got some good weapons and quarterbacks there, and it's a good scheme fit for Julio Jones. Now, the Cardinals, I think it's a good to decent fit for Julio. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because they have so many receivers in their receiving core. But other than DeAndre Hopkins, the guys they have like AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and Andy Isabella are quite inconsistent and not a full receiving core that you really want to run with to be reliable the full year. So if you add Julio Jones to this receiving core and at least give up one of your receivers with the receiving depth that you have, then it'd be good for Julio Jones because you put him next to DeAndre Hopkins. That may be, well, no, it will be the best receiving core duo in all of the league. So I think it would be good for Kyler Murray. The system fit, I don't think it's quite there, but I do like the quarterback there for Julio. They have a chance to win with the pieces they've added this offseason with additions to their offensive line and getting JJ Watt and with the pieces they already have on that offense and defense. This would be a good situation for Julio to try and compete. He would be in the NFC West, and hey, he gets DeAndre Hopkins and he gets Kyler Murray. Because they have so many wide receivers right now, and because I don't really see the system fit, I don't know if this is a great fit for Julio Jones because you have better places you can win at, but it's a good to decent fit for Julio. Now, the Ravens, people would put the Ravens in the elite or great tier, but I'm going to put the Ravens at the lead of the good to decent tier for Julio Jones. And a lot of people are just saying, why would you put the Ravens in the good to decent tier? I already hear it in your head and hear you about to comment it right now. But here's why. To me, it's a system fit. To me, you'll get a good quarterback. To me, you'll probably be able to win. But to me, it may not be as much of a system fit for Julio Jones as anyone would think it is. See, I don't want star receivers really going to play for Greg Roman because he's just not a receiving offensive coordinator. Here's why I think it's a good to decent place for Julio Jones, though, to go to the Ravens. You'll be able to win, and you have Lamar Jackson. But to me, him getting older and to be put with Greg Roman, who doesn't really draw up great plays for receivers and doesn't have them running terrific routes. He's not really a good receiving offensive coordinator, and that's why we really haven't seen Marquise Brown really prosper yet. Then hey, I don't really want Julio Jones going there, but because this team can win, because they have Lamar Jackson, I think it's a good to decent fit. But when you have a coach or offensive coordinator like Greg Roman, I'm going to put it in that tier. Now, I may come back to that later because of the great things that the Ravens have in terms of obviously quarterback and stuff. But right now, I'm going to say it's a good destination for Julio Jones, and they're going to just almost edge out to get to the great fit for Julio Jones tier. Now, the Colts, I think they're a good to decent fit for Julio. My question is the quarterback because he fits the system. Julio fits the system, but Carson Wentz still concerns me a little bit. Now, for the Colts, obviously it works for them because they're adding to that receiving core with Michael Pittman and T.Y. Hilton, and you help out Carson Wentz and finally get him a good receiver. But for Julio, are you sure you can rely on Carson Wentz? But I'm sure if Julio went there would make Carson Wentz better, but I still have my doubts about Carson Wentz. So I'm going to put the Colts in the good to decent tier. The Cowboys, oh man, they have so many receivers. I don't think Julio really fits the scheme. It really doesn't make sense to me why he would go to the Cowboys, and he doesn't want to go to the Cowboys. So it's a okay to iffy fit for Julio Jones there. For the Cowboys, I'm gonna put them in that tier for the best destinations for Julio. Now, the Titans, I think they're an elite fit for Julio Jones. Now, for Julio, again, he'd be able to win. He'd have a good quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, but just he fit the scheme also. But just look around Julio. He has Derrick Henry. He has Ryan Tannehill. He has A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are number one receivers. So if you have that receiving tandem, it's automatically one of the best in the NFL. And Julio Jones really doesn't have to carry a load. But here's why it also works for the Titans. Not only do you get a star-studded receiver, but you add to that receiving core. And my main concern with the Titans is that they run out Derrick Henry. And that's because they won't be able to rely as much on their passing game because they lost Corey Davis and lost a lot in their receiving core this offseason, especially losing Jonnu Smith too. That only leaves you with AJ Brown. And that means you're putting a load on AJ Brown, and you don't really have anywhere else to go in that receiving core. So now you're putting that load on Derrick Henry, and that means it could be bad for Ryan Tannehill because that could lead to more Derrick Henry injuries. But when you add Julio Jones to this receiving core, it makes you rely more on the receiving core and not rely just on Derrick Henry. Because I think if the Titans do not go out and get a good receiver, then they're going to have to rely on Derrick Henry. That's going to run Derrick Henry to the ground, and we'll see what happens to uh what happens to all the other running backs happening to Derrick Henry. Get it running to the ground because you're running too much and get injured because your team relies on you too much. So if the Titans go out and get Julio, you don't have to rely all on Derrick Henry, although he is your all. Now, the Chargers, I think they're a borderline scheme fit for Julio, but I think they're a great fit for Julio Jones. Great quarterback, great receiving coach and offensive coordinator. And then you've got Keenan Allen, who's the number one receiver. You've got Mike Williams. It's a good receiving core, especially if you add Julio to it, so he wouldn't be carrying a load. You have Justin Herbert. That would make him better. And then you'd be able to win because this is a team I think is on the rise. If they added Julio Jones, it would boost up the receiving core. It would make their offense probably a top five offense in the league. And Julio would really, really help them win. So I think adding Julio to a great receiving core like this, it would be great for Julio Jones. It would be great for him to go and work with Justin Herbert. So I think this is a great fit for Julio right here, especially because he's playing with a good quarterback and a good coach in a scheme that he can be comparable to. Now, the Raiders, to me, they're an okay to iffy fit. They're not a bad fit, but they're not an incredible fit. To me, if I'm Julio Jones and I want to win, I'm not going to the Raiders because they're too inconsistent and they don't have all the pieces they need around Julio Jones or anywhere else to really help them get there. Now, I like the fit with him with Derek Carr because I believe Derek Carr is a borderline or if not top 10 quarterback. So I think it'd be a good fit for Julio. But if Julio goes there, I just don't know if you can trust their defense enough or their offensive line enough to really get anywhere. So I don't think it's an incredible fit for Julio Jones with the Raiders. Now, for the Patriots, I think they're a great fit for Julio. He fits the scheme. He'd go with a good offense and a good quarterback in Cam Newton. You know what? I think I like the destination, but I think the Patriots are a good to decent fit because we still are not sure about Cam Newton. Although it looks like he's getting better by reports and everything. Hey, can we trust him this late in his career? Will injuries really battle him over? Now, I think Julio and Cam Newton would be a great tandem. I think it'd be a great tandem. But can I rely on Cam Newton? And can we see the Patriots win? That's my concern. Now, if Julio were to be added to the Patriots, I think we see a huge jump for the Patriots offense and really seeing what they want to do with Cam Newton and really unlocking their system. But it's a good to decent fit for me because we're iffy about Cam Newton. But if you add Julio Jones to Cam Newton and that offense, you'd be able to win and that offense would be able to work. Now, the Saints, I've heard their name sometimes. Now, they need a second receiver or a number one receiver to go along with Michael Thomas. I think they're a good to decent fit for Julio. Although, I don't really like their quarterback. I think it's a good, okay to iffy fit for Julio Jones. Again, I don't really like Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston throwing to Julio Jones all like that. But hey, he'd go with Michael Thomas. He'd probably have an opportunity to win. So I think it's an okay to iffy fit for Julio Jones there. The Eagles, I think they're an okay to iffy fit. I think he'd make Jalen Hurts better because I do think Jalen Hurts could become a good quarterback if people would just give him a chance. But if you're Julio, you're probably not going to win at all with the Eagles because they're probably tanking. Now, the last team here is the 49ers. I think the 49ers are an incredible fit for Julio. Whether you play with Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is still a good quarterback, or you play with Trey Lance, you're going to have a good time and you're reunited with Kyle Shanahan. And Julio had some of his best years with Kyle Shanahan. So I think it's a great scheme fit. I think he'll have good quarterbacks there. I think it's a good run game and a good receiving core. Adding Julio Jones to that receiving core with Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk on the rise, I think it'd be good for his development. So I think San Francisco, especially because they have the chance to win with that defense and the pieces they have on offense and that offensive line and their quarterbacks, I think it'd be a great destination for Julio Jones to try and win there, guys. So here are my best fits for Julio from best to worst. I think the Packers are number one. Titans number two, 49ers number three. I would, you know what? I think I would put the Ravens in the great fit for Julio tier. I think I'll put them behind the Chargers. So Ravens 5 in the great fit for Julio tier. Patriots 6, Cardinals 7, Colts 8, Saints 9, Cowboys 10, Raiders 11, Eagles 12. And then for the Lions, I got them at 13, guys. But these are the most realistic destinations for Julio. I put them together, put them in tier list, guys. These are my best destinations for Julio Jones from best to worst, guys. Give your best destinations for Julio Jones in the comment section below. This is Malik Hicks, aka the Ranker of the Ultimate Sports TV, signing off. Peace out, and I'll see you on my next one.